Yo, what is up everybody? John from Tau Tactics here bringing you another video. Today we're going to be talking about the Experimental Prototype Cadre. What this detachment rewards, what to avoid, and some lists that I think that are really strong at the moment. Let's get right into it. So is Experimental Prototype Cadre Tau's strongest detachment? I think for damage output, yes. We're going to talk through what are some of the units that best benefit from the strats within X Cadre, and I think the best strats are the lethal and sustained and +1 strength and AP strats. So what units receive those strats really well? First and foremost, breachers. I think they also fill an important role for X Cadre, which is needing to interact with your opponent's side of the table. Right? Since a lot of the shooting within Tau requires stuff like, fire and fade or 6-inch deep strike to really interact with your opponent's side of the board. This lacks that, so having breachers be able to, send them 13 to 18 inches in Devilfish, and then also give them lethal and sustained, throw a grenade out of the Devilfish because they themselves didn't advance, give them extra strength through AP, really allows you to push your opponent back in a meaningful manner. And also, they don't care if you kill like 4 or 5 breachers from hazardous. You still get to put 10 OC on your opponent's expansion. Even if you swing down on the hazardous rolls. Next is going to be fire knives. Because of the full hit rerolls and missile fire knives specifically, they can really benefit from the lethal and sustained and fish for those. In addition, getting to strength 8 AP 2 for 2 is a really important breakpoint for Tau. I think Razor Sharks just are generically good, again, because of their ability to interact with your opponent's staging units, and they also just happen to be a really good unit, again, for the lethal and sustained strat. And then last but not least, broadsides, just adding to their reliability with lethal and sustained. And in addition, they have the built-in feel no pain, so even if you fail a couple of those hazardous checks, you're still in an okay spot, because typically you're only going to take half as much damage from those hazardous as other units might. Alright, now let's talk a little bit about a hot take that I have around this detachment. There are some decent off of face value strats that you can use defensively. Now, the reason I think it's a trap is because I think defense is one of the weaknesses of Tau, and as opposed to leaning into that weakness, I think you should be investing further resources for the damage strats, because your opponent can't kill you if they're already dead. So although -1 to wound if strength's higher is nice, I think that right now in the game, even if every crisis unit had -1 wound on their datasheet, I think they would still be getting killed in an entire activation, and you would continuously, just like I'm sure everyone else is used to, have just a commander left at the end of the activation. So I don't think that saves you. Now, I will say one really nice thing about the 18-inch lone op strat is just that your opponent has to play around it. And one unit now that I'm thinking about it that should have been on the previous slide that really benefits from this detachment and the strats within it, namely the rerolling the flamer shots and +1 strength AP, is the Star Scythe unit. So your opponent has to come within 18 or else you can press that button. Now I don't think it's a button you're going to be pressing every turn because good players will have a contingency plan, right? Maybe they'll try to shoot you out of 18, but they'll have another unit lined up. So while I think it on face value looks pretty good, it's more of like something that a good player has to play around, and just have the CP in the bank so that they have to play around that strat. So one list that I really want to go over is Noah. Noah and I have worked together as far as like coaching is concerned. Super high level Tau player. I'm not sure exactly where he's at in the US rankings, but we're both pretty dang close to each other. He went 4-1-1 at RMO. So Noah is running 1 Cadre Fireblade. He's running 4 commanders. 1 with missiles, that's going to go with the missile fire knife team. He's got the super plasma with the plasma fire knife team. This is actually a solo enforcer commander with 4, I guess technically 5 melta shots total, which I think is a really cool tech piece. And he's got Mr. Flamerman. The Cadre Fireblade is going to go in one of these breacher teams to kind of soup them up, make them more of a hammer piece. The double breachers, triple devilfish, like I mentioned, the fire knife, Star Scythe. Double hammerhead with railguns, just a generically good shooting platform, and then the typical backline of the triple stealth suits, Pathfinder, and a solo Vespid. So when you take a look at this list, I think it really leans into what Tau does well, which is into Tau's good matchups, which is anything that resembles power armor, right? So Marines, Chaos Space Marines. I'm not sure if he played Bile or not, but I think has a pretty good game into Bile. And then also has the ability to punch up if things go, if he hits a stat checklist, right? With this commander with fusion blades, the 2 rail hammerheads, the breachers, plus the Cadre Fireblade. So if I was going to play a game tomorrow, or bring a list to a tournament tomorrow, this is probably the list that I would bring. So I would highly encourage you, if you're interested in playing Experimental Prototype Cadre, throw this on the table. I think this is just a very strong list. Next, I put a couple lists together myself. So you can see this very similar core. I included the 3 Enforcer commanders. We've got the Flamer Man, we've got the Plasma Man, we've got the Fusion Man. He's going to actually go in a unit of Star Scythes, so he gets the full hit rerolls and can even split off if he wants to go into another unit that's at starting strength. Not super optimal, but again, having the ability to split fire in this detachment and have full hit rerolls being in the Fire Knife unit is pretty nice. You see the triple breachers. Here I only have the 2 devilfish because I couldn't fit everything in, but you can use the 1 devilfish that's kind of near your expansion to recycle that unit. The big change here, obviously, you can see is the double Razor Sharks and the broadside unit. So on layout 1, search and destroy, there's a place where you can put a devilfish out in the open. I think that's actually a really strong play for this attachment because it doesn't have the guaranteed like auto advance 6. So you want to have something that's sitting behind it, i.e. these 2 rail broadsides, in case your opponent does want to come out and shoot that. And if they do decide to do that, whatever piece destroy that unit, you can now step out the broadsides and get rid of them yourselves. And then also, I think the Razor Sharks here, I just think they're really good. I think you could take them in almost any detachment these days. And then, specifically, just one note, I guess, is specifically Tau has kind of a hard time with units that are -1 to wound if strength is higher than toughness. So the Razor Sharks really solve that problem. Think Marnius Calgar's Brick, Wardens from Custodes, and just completely changes matchups from a small win to you're definitely winning this game unless you have a huge mistake. And then the last list I wanted to touch on, because I think that when Orcs goes away, it seems like it's going to be Ynnari meta. I think Experimental Prototype Cadre has a really great game into Ynnari. So this is one example of a list that I think would do quite well into it. You'll see here the main thing to call out is the triple Star Scythes with the Flamers. Because you take this you take the Thermoneutronic Projector, because you have the access to the strat where you can reroll shot count, you can pretty reliably split off the commander into 1 unit of elves, split the 6 other flamers into another unit of elves, and just take 2 units out at once. Also, you get the crew carnivores to stick at your home field, so you're not really going to have that much trouble with warp spiders just jumping from across the table and killing the unit of stealth suit that's on your home and taking it. At least you'll have it stickied. And then a Ghost Keel to kind of force your opponent to interact with you in the middle of the table when you so choose. But again, I know Noah has actually tested a similar list with the triple Star Scythes into Ynnari and some top players and had some pretty good success. So I highly suggest checking this one out. That's going to do it for today's video. Thanks everybody for making it to the end. If you could drop a like, comment, or subscribe for the algorithm, I greatly appreciate it. Also want to shout out my channel patrons. Really cool that I get a little kickback from doing what I enjoy, talking about Tau. If you'd like a chance to play with me in a game of 40K, I've been doing weekly games with new members where we can test out new lists, get live feedback, and be a part of the community that we've built there. Thanks again, everybody, for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.